I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is all the mods 10 to the sky. Things are going to be smelling this episode a little bit withery because I do plan on automating the star today in all the mods 10 to the sky. But I don't want to automate this the normal way, or at least I want to try to avoid doing it the normal way. And what would be the normal way? Well, we have a couple. I can pull it up on my hand here. Let me see. 1, 2, 3 fingers. How many fingers do I have? 4. I have 4 fingers. And so we can automate it in world by having something build the wither, like a wither builder, and then kill the wither. It is kind of a process in itself. We could do mystical agriculture and we could farm up some nether stars, but I think this might require a crux, for example. I don't know if that's still a thing. Yeah, it does require this nether star crux. We have one of my personal favorites by using hostile neural networks, and we could well farm up wither predictions, which is pretty nice. Does cost quite a bit of power, and I am producing quite a bit of that, especially after last episode, since we got all of this set up, and I'm generating now close to 6,000 RF per tick, which is pretty good. Sorry, not 6,000, 600,000. Let me be more specific. And then, even though I shouldn't be mentioning it, we do have the implosion compressor and also the particle accelerator, both of which I feel like is quite overkill for replicating nether stars, as those would quite literally take you days to get set up to be able to actually start producing stars. So if today's method doesn't work, I still will fall back to using hostile neural networks, as I think this is one of the simplest and definitely most reliable method of generating the stars. And it can be kind of slow, but it does ramp up in speed over time and wouldn't be too bad to have up and running, just constantly passively producing them. So how can we kind of change things up and produce nether stars? Well, what if I told you that reliquary might be able to be automated? And if we produce enough redstone, we can convert that redstone into nether stars. You heard me right. Now, to be able to do this, we have to do one thing, or you guys will technically have to do one thing, and that's make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Of course, there are so many of you that actually watch these videos that, believe it or not, may not be actually subscribed. So definitely be sure to check that out and click that subscribe button if you haven't already. No, but in all seriousness, what we can do is potentially use the tome of alkahestry. And this thing can get absolutely wild. We can automate a ton of different things by utilizing this method, by using glowstone or redstone, which we can gather from witches and many other places. And we can essentially exchange those things for these things. Like if we wanted iron, we can make iron. If we wanted gold, we can make gold. If we wanted obsidian, we can do obsidian. All of these things that are listed in here should theoretically be dupable. That also means instone. You can exchange that and you can get 17 instone. Like all of these things are possible if you know how to automate the tome of alkahestry. But I tell you, before we can automate this thing, we have to get our hands on it. But to be able to get our hands on it, it's going to require one thing that we just don't have at the moment. That is molten cores, which we do get from blazes. And we also need the eye of the storm, which we get from charged creepers. These are two things that I don't currently have being constantly produced. Now, getting blazes would mean we need to go to the nether quickly to be able to get those. I don't think that would honestly be too bad, and we should be able to at least get one just from farming them naturally. But the eye of the storm is a bit more challenging, as we do need charged creepers to be able to get this. So that does mean slightly modifying our mob farm, I think, to be able to get this to work. And modifying this, I will do. I think what I'm going to end up doing is getting some witch water. And the witch water should convert regular creepers, I believe, into charged creepers. And now what I think I might do, because I should be able to get away with this, is by placing the witch water directly on top here, and maybe using something like some fences, since mobs can go right into this and has no problem passing through. And then we can place the water, I think, right in the center there. So I've got my bucket. Let's put this into action. Yes, that looks like that is going to work just fine. And the mobs usually do bounce around a little bit, so they should pop up in here and potentially hit that, I think. Let's grab this. There we go. And then we'll turn the fans back on. This will make sure the fans still function. And we should get some more mob drops here. Ah, yes, this is kind of a problem with witch water being so close to the glass, as wither skeletons do pop out. But right there, I noticed Yes, there's a charged creeper, and we've already got the eyes we need. Okay, so I don't need to leave this on forever. I'm going to turn this off for right now. But yes, that does work really well, surprisingly. Well, minus the skeletons popping out, but we would have to move the water essentially one back to allow that to not happen. And I think to prevent the wither skeletons from causing any problems, this should work, I think. If I can place this in right there, that I think will keep them from spawning out. I might as well leave this running. It's going to be generating tons of coal for us if we do this. Let's give this a shot. We're modifying the mob farm again. Wither skeleton should now make its way into that when it does decide to actually touch that. And I think it will still blow. There's the creepers. They got blown into it. So yeah, we should be generating like just about everything now, including wither skeletons and all kinds of stuff. Now that I see this, I might want to add even more witch water. That way I make sure like every skeleton that gets touched ends up turning into a wither skeleton. I mean, that looks really nice. So we just have a single block of witch water down the center, and I believe this is going to function correctly. And let's see, mobs are spawning, wither skeletons are spawning, and yes, we are getting all the things now. So now with that process out of the way, which was made very, very simple, honestly too simple, we can now go after the molten core. Yeah, that's the next step. Well, I mean, that is after I purchase phantoms. Do I have that many oh man, you need phantom membranes for that sword. That sword is so nice. I'm just going to be setting up a temporary nether portal because I don't actually want a nether portal around the base or anything like that. So yeah, very, very temporary. Get it set up, and I'm going to use a dislocator just like we did before to be able to teleport back and forth between our home and the actual nether. So let's go see what the nether's like. This is the first time going in here since we started, so kind of crazy that we've made it this far without the need for this. But there we go. There's the nether, and I think we just need to fly around. It's very voidy. As you can tell, there's not a real reason for me to even be here. But I think we should be able to find a nether fortress. Possibly. This will also lead us into potentially getting ourselves some, well, spawners in the future. Yes, just over here. There we go. That is what I'm looking for. So we have some spawners, all that fun stuff. Here's the actual entrance that I kind of want to go into. If I can make my way in here and actually set this as a spawn location, that would be pretty nice. Then I don't have to worry about all these things kind of destroying me here. Let's see. You should instantly go. Instantly get rid of that guy. And perfect. We can just use ours to basically destroy all of these mobs. No problem whatsoever. So this is going to be home base, I think. Yeah, right here. And so I have placed it on the pedestal, and now we can use the dislocator to just essentially get back to this location. Yeah, that'll be the nether. Now, plopping that back onto there, and then I'm going to go ahead and wipe this portal from existence. But I mean, now I've just got to essentially run around taking out these blazes, which I'm almost positive, right, that this gear grants you fire immunity. Like base all the modium gear grants you that. Let's see. We got a cracked gem. Yeah, this is really nice. You can just easily fly around. I'll just keep taking them out. Look at that molten core. That didn't even take that long. I guess also while I'm here, I can also try to take out one of these so I can complete my world tier. That would also be a good idea. How much health do you have? Oh, wow. We deal so much damage. And there we go, world tier complete because of that. Now that we're back home, the molten core, we now can craft the tome of alkahestry. Yes. This is a very powerful book. Like I said, allowing you to take redstone and duplicate things. So how does this exactly work? So let's go ahead and we'll take some blocks of redstone, and we should be able to apply redstone directly into our tome of alkahestry. Notice, one block of redstone is going to be applied here, increasing its charge from 0 plus 9. And so in doing this, you can see it will increase it by 9 every time we use a block. And this is pretty powerful in itself. Notice that we're using our inventory to actually craft this. So that means that we can potentially use an auto crafter to do this for us. Now, I'm not saying use applied energistics to do this. No, this would be probably too much for applied energistics to actually handle in order to do this. But we could use something like an RF tools crafter, for example. And I played around with this heavily whenever I made my mod pack that was called Project Architect 2. And this was a big part of that pack. Now, another thing you can do, you can have it actually consume it from your inventory immediately whenever it's in this mode. So if you shift right click, it will consume any redstone that you put in your inventory until it is completely filled with 1,000 charges. So if we have a nether star, which I do not have currently, which we can get real quick, we can actually duplicate nether stars. So we can duplicate many things we can use in here, which will use charges. So yes, this is a very powerful thing, but what makes it even more powerful is the fact that it, yes, can be auto-crafted, or used in auto-crafts, I should say. So now let's just quickly spawn in a wither so we can get at least a nether star, right? Very straightforward process here. We'll go ahead and get this done, and I bet that this is going to take this wither out even faster. Oh my goodness, with all of our improvements that we've made, with just the harming spell alone. Yeah. So easy to take out the wither. Oh man, that's actually ridiculous. But what's even more ridiculous is the fact that we can take the tome of alkahestry and we can combine it with this, and 256 of the actual redstone is going to be consumed in this, and we're going to notice a charge. So basically 1/4, a little bit over 1/4 of this will be used whenever I pull this out. And there you see it. And we've essentially duped our nether stars. And like I said, this can be automated. Now, the mod I want to use to actually do the auto crafting is going to be the crafter from RF Tools. This thing is just so good. You definitely should try it out. It can do crafts incredibly quickly, and it can also do multiple crafts within the same tick, which is very, very fast. So let's go ahead and place this bad boy right here for right now. And I'll use a flex point at the current time. And this will allow us to automate it quite a bit. So that way we have access to our AE system down here, be able to handle the sending of items and also the receiving of items, which is going to be kind of important because it does have an inventory. That is its crafting inventory. So it'll take items from here and it will craft with them. But you can also have items, for example, that get crafted with and then need to be returned back for future crafts. You can all define that right here inside of these settings. Now, the output and the input is going to be very important when we go to actually automating this thing, and then also defining specifically our alkahestry tome to make sure it can be set up is going to also be very important. Now, I think all that we're going to need in here is going to be the alkahestry tome. We also need to make sure we have nether stars that are currently in stock. And we need redstone that needs to go in here. And we can set it all up like this, or we can use it in block form. Block form would be really fast as well. I think for right now, I'm just going to send regular redstone dust since I have a ton of it. And then all of the other remaining slots, let's go ahead and cover this with some cobblestone. And then I'm going to hit remember. Now, I don't know if this is going to be very specific on the way the book is working. I'm going to have to kind of figure that out. I don't know if it's going to specifically be looking for this book to go in here with this particular MBT data. But if it is, that is going to cause a little bit more of a problem for us. But essentially, we need an export bus that is going to be sending constantly into this crafter the redstone, which is why I blocked all of these other slots. So it just has this slot to sort of work with. And so I'm going to send redstone constantly to here. And then we also need to send nether stars. If they end up in the system, we need to make sure those also get sent back. We're going to have this set to round robin mode. I think that is going to work for this. You can see that redstone is already in there. And then we need to start playing with patterns. So our first pattern here is going to be saying, okay, the alkahestry tome, we need to use this. We need to fill it up with redstone, and then we need to try and craft it with a nether star. So our first one, we can try doing this. I don't know if it's going to be very specific, but we need to say, hey, take this item like this, and then fill it with redstone and keep doing this. But we want our crafting output here to exit back into the inventory. And this is going to be kind of important, right? So let's go ahead and set that. And then we need to just make sure we have power to this, and we put the book in here. And you notice that actually went to the crafting output. So we need this actually to be set to the input. Okay, so let's see. It did actually go back in here, and notice it is completely filling up. So it actually doesn't seem to care that it actually has a durability on it. Okay, so the redstone is now going in, and once it ends up having 9 of them in here, it should craft and continue doing this craft and insert, for example, over and over again. And then once it reaches a certain tier, we then need to create another craft that is adding it with a nether star. But this one, how do we want this to be handled? We do want it to stay back in the system, but how do we manage this more effectively? I mean, I really hope this actually functions with the exit C. It's supposed to keep the book in the inventory, but the nether stars should go to the output, or at least so it's supposed to. And there it goes. Okay, so it just did the thing. And there we go. So once this reaches enough to be able to actually craft the thing, we should see the star increasing here. Let's see, 256 is when it does it, and this should go up to 4. So we're almost there. And honestly, this is slow, but we can make it faster. And there we go. So it's done it again. So now all we have to do is we need to add an importer to the bottom. Oh man, this is actually really, really powerful and super nice. So an importer on the bottom, just to simply pull in those nether stars that are in here. And then those nether stars are going to get recycled back into here. And this is going to keep looping and looping and looping until we have an abundance and we have more than 64 in here. Once we have more than 64 in here, the rest are profit. The rest are simply profit. It is so nice. And at the moment it is crafting slow, but we can set this to fast, and we can also add some acceleration cards into here to send more redstone to the system faster. And you're going to notice that is crafting a lot faster. Now, how can we shut this off? Well, we can actually shut our exporter off if, for example, we have a certain amount of nether stars in here. And that might be a good idea to do for this, but for right now, I don't know if I want this to be that fast, because we will notice our redstone dwindling faster than we can actually produce it. I just kind of want nether stars being produced over time. But I mean, we could generate a ton more redstone than we're currently producing. And I think just for my sanity, I am going to leave it in slow mode, as I think this is fast enough for right now. And you may notice some like visual latency that happens if you do duplicate this process in multiple crafting recipes, which is something that actually does work. So if you are producing more redstone than you know what to do with, this can chow through it incredibly fast. And I'm not even joking, incredibly fast. And so, yes, you can actually duplicate the same recipe, put it right here, and it will perform those operations within the tick very, very quickly. Multiple operations in the same tick, if I did understand this correctly. And it will speed it up like tremendously fast. But yes, expect visual issues to start to happen, like when you walk by, your FPS just all of a sudden drops. This will do it sometimes. So I know now you may be wondering, Chosen, like, is this the best way to actually generate nether stars? And to that, I might say yes, if you are producing like enough. This can generate so many nether stars that, I mean, this should be able to actually work for in-game if there was a need for a ton of compressed nether star blocks, for example, like all the mods 10 required. But I mean, you're going to need 1 mega either witch farm, or you're going to need something like our gears that we're currently producing. Like, those are all things that I think would work for this. But right now, I'm not trying to produce a ton of nether stars. I just want some nether stars, right? Because there's a lot of things that just simply require a nether star here and there. And it is going to be kind of nice to actually have these few things for nether stars. And for example, now I can actually make nitro. Since last episode we got into power, now I can actually make nitro tier things and possibly even upgrade all of my reactors to nitro tier, which would be significant because these would jump from producing about 100,000 FE per tick to quite literally producing 500,000 per generator, which would bump us up quite a bit. By the way, a little quick tip on making more gears, which I'm currently doing. I have a hopper underneath here, which feeds the product into a barrel, a hopper that's feeding the sand into the side, and then a lever, just turn it on. That way you can let this constantly run and just feed in enough to be able to make the amount of gears you want. For example, I'm making 7 of these. That's because I'm about to up my redstone production. Yes, I want to be able to produce them. So more redstone is going to be good, I think. And we are going to need a lot for applied energistics as well, especially for late game stuff. So it definitely makes sense to have this be prioritized. This also means that I probably want to up my game a little bit, and since last episode we got deeper into the just dire things, I think now we should probably make a better tool to be able to do this, like a better pickaxe. And we want to make sure that like a Celesti Gem pickaxe, which I think would be just fine, or an Eclipse pickaxe, either way, whichever one we decide to use, we want to kind of change up the solution here. So we are actually going to be using these picks, we are going to be charging them, and we are actively going to be using, for example, an advanced breaker so that way we can charge these. This I still think is a really, really good way to do this. And I think it's going to allow us to change the orientation of the side that we're breaking things, where our current setup doesn't really allow us to change our side. So we can either only go north or south with our current configuration, unfortunately. This will be good. It'll allow us to actually incorporate this into the wall, which I think would be kind of good. This gives us a lot more space, and we could potentially today get the rest of these actually automated. And I think that'd be well worth it. And I mean, taking a look at Vibranium and how we actually move up into the next tier here with all the mods, I mean, we are going to also need a subset that is specifically designed here for producing Vibranium, it looks like. So we will need to passively just collect diamond shards. And we're also going to need to collect the uranium, gold, iron, and quartz. And I think this actually equates to exactly 7, which I find to be hilarious, as this setup right here works great with exactly 7 gears. So now I have redstone over here, coal over here. This is how I want to actually mine this stuff, which does mean that in my current setup over here, I am going to get rid of this coal gear and the red one over here and kind of replace this with a couple of different things. So I want to replace one of these with a emerald budding ore. I think that is going to be good for this farm. And then I do want to actually make a uraninite gear. Because of the power setup that we're using, uraninite would be a really good one. However, to make uraninite, we do need the ender crafter. It is going to take a little bit, and I've already made the uranium gear that's needed. But to be able to make this crafter, it's not too bad. So if we take a look at crafter, we can see the ender. It's from extended crafting, and it's not too bad, right? We just need these, which we can make in abundance really quick. So we can make a few of these, and the more of these that you have that are actually around your ender crafter, the faster the ender crafter will be. That's kind of the idea behind this. So I'm going to just place this in the middle of the floor for right now. This may not be where it's going to always be, but yes, you just simply surround this thing. And I mean, surround it. Just put as many of these as you can, I think within a 9x9 area of it. And then we can craft this. So uraninite, we just need 4 of them. And we put this, build the recipe, and then we simply wait. You can see it's working by all the particles happening, and it just takes some time. Like I said, the more of these you have, the faster it goes. And also, I think a little bit of time in the bottle will speed this up as well. So yeah, if you're impatient like I am, that's also another way. There we go. So now we have our other one, which is the budding uraninite, which is going to be very helpful, especially if we upgrade these. But we've got to get that redstone production started back up, because our nether stars, don't get me wrong, yeah, our nether stars are still using them. So we are currently dwindling on our redstone supply. This is being used up quite quickly. So yeah, we've got to get this going. So to do that, we are going to use an advanced block breaker. So we do need a simple block breaker. Might be a good idea to eventually automate this. I think getting the just dire things will be really nice automated, but we could potentially do it better with bees whenever we do get into bees. But right now, 2 advanced block breakers. And let's see, can I change the orientation of this? Maybe if I don't hold shift, will it just allow me to place it against the wall? No? Okay, I know Dire does have a wrench. So I guess we'll just go ahead and make this. There's so many wrenches from so many mods. The ferrite core wrench. There we go. We keep clicking, and we want it facing into here, just like on this setup. We are going to physically be using the tool. I believe this will also break within a 5x5 because of the tool we're going to be putting in here. Because on this, unlike this one, these tools will require power, and we can't do a modular break system like we're currently doing here, where it just constantly breaks and doesn't use durability because we captured it inside of a module. This one is actually going to require something. So it does feel a little bit like more legit doing it this way. But yes, we are going to have to put some sort of power on here. Thankfully though, this does have a ton of filtering options, and I think by default, it should just detect the block that is directly in front of it. Now, as far as upgrades go, the Celesti Gem pickaxe, we will have the hammering and we will have the auto smelt on the redstone one. So this has both auto smelt and we also have the hammer. But on the other one, we just want for coal, we just simply want to collect the actual coal itself or the gems itself. So this one is not actually going to have the smelts because as of right now, it's converting it directly into graphite, which I don't want. Imagine if the end game of this pack was just to simply make pencils. Like that was the end game, and you had to make a pencil singularity with all the graphite. I mean, I have plenty. Now, something I should note with these, and I did ask Dyer originally, he even showed me where in the code it was written, but efficiency does actually help with the power consumption of the tools. So you definitely want to have efficiency on here to help reduce the cost overall of the power usage. But just like all of our other picks, we definitely want to get that fortune and efficiency on there. Oh man, and hopefully you didn't miss the video where I showed off how awesome it is to actually duplicate enchanted books here. So nice. Now here is the moment of truth. How powerful is this going to be? Do we need any sort of configuration? I think we are going to have to specify and filter in here specifically what blocks it's going to break. As of right now, you can see block, or we can filter item. I think block might be the best idea, so that way it only breaks what is on here. So the only thing that's allowed in the allow list is going to be the cluster. So we'll take a redstone cluster, put that in the list. And if I put this in here, is it going to work? No. Okay. So right off the bat, there is something that is wrong. And that thing that is wrong is the direction that we tell this to mine in. And so we do have to specify on here to not mine down. No, we need to mine specifically. So for example, in the eastern direction is the direction I do want it to be mining. And I'm assuming that is how that is going to work. So you basically tell it what face of the block to actually mine, I think, unless it is specifically asking what face of a block to mine. Because if that's the case, then if it's looking this way, it would technically be the west side of this block. So I don't actually think it matters just so long as it's this way or this way for the hammering to be able to work. But I mean, all it did was actually just break the geode, so we don't have to worry about that too much. We'll just put the geodes back in place. I don't think it broke anything else. Oh, actually, it definitely broke our power cables, didn't it? So yeah, we've got to have power cables here. Otherwise, this will not generate correctly. Oh boy. There we go. So let's try this again. This is our auto smelter, and there it goes. Okay. And that's exactly what we want to see. We want it to see it collecting the redstone and auto breaking it in that direction. Great. Now it's not super fast at the moment, but it can be a lot faster. Before I turn it on fully and we start modifying how to make this faster, I definitely want to have these barrels upgraded, and we should probably also get this one set up too, which is going to be very similar. After getting the configuration up and running, this should now be working, and yes, perfectly balanced. Each break, oh my goodness, it's going up like 100 each break, and I haven't even turned up the speed. Oh my goodness, same on this side. Oh boy, yeah, that's a lot of redstone being produced right there. That's a lot. Okay, so how do we make this faster? Well, it is as simple as quite literally turning this. And I mean, it should go just about as fast as you see these. It's only going to break as fast as this crystal grows. So that is something to kind of keep in mind. Even if we set this to 1 tick, like I said, it's only going to break as fast as the other ones. And you do risk potentially getting pebbles, even though pebbles actually haven't been a problem. Just so long as this first one grows up fast enough, like you probably won't even see those. But yes, I am noticing that like having this run every tick, probably not even necessary really. Yeah, 5 ticks actually seem like the same pace that this is running at. So every 5 ticks might be the point at which these crystals grow and the fastest at which these crystals grow. And I don't know if all of them are the same. Like, for example, I set this one to 5. I don't know if every single geode grows at the same pace. But even that seems to be growing. And it looks like they even grow on the same growth tick cycle. Like these are breaking at exactly the same time. I mean, that can't be a coincidence. So there's got to be some sort of internal timer that they're probably basing things off of for their growth speed. And I think all I have to do now is link these together, and this is going to be all connected to my applied energetics system. Like that's it right there. I love this system. Clean, efficient, and effective. And so now I might just be able to set this up so that way we're sending like 32 every operation, and that'll speed up our star generation just a little bit faster. Look at that. We're generating one about every second or so. And that's not that bad at all. Now, how's our redstone looking? Does it dwindle or does it go up? You know what? To me, it looks like it's still accelerating. So yes, we must be generating more than what this is currently using, which I'm more than happy about. That is fantastic. Now back up here, I have decided to fix just one more thing, and I added an advanced compacting upgrade that is now taking our Geor shards and automatically compacting them into blocks of coal. And that's being done by just simply setting this into the filter and make sure it's set to compact anything is listed, because this isn't something that goes back into shards. So that's just something to keep in mind. And already there's 31,000 in there. It's just so much. And then over here, I mean, it's just, there's so much redstone. Like every operation is producing sometimes almost 2 stacks of redstone. It's a lot. And I tell you what, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And well, if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And well, give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. It really means a lot to me. And don't forget to comment down below, you know, for the algorithm's sake. And now it's time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Mike Coleman 07. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support my content in one of the best ways possible by supporting me over on the Discord. You absolute boss. Do appreciate it very, very much. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys in the next episode. You know how it goes. As always, thanks for watching.